It's a very nice Saturday evening here in Market Warsaw, a former mining town in the northern half of Nottinghamshire, and I'm sat on the steps at the bottom of the garden, and I'm actually admiring the fruits of my labours from the last couple of months, plotting and planning what goes where, what goes and what comes in. And it's all come to fruition again for the third time, because there's just been a hummer in the garden. This probably as overgrown as it's ever got, this garden. But that more overgrown nature of the plants that I have in the garden this year is welcome, because the Viper's bugloss, which is the tall blue standing flower, there are a number of large self-sown plants of this remaining from those that I had in 2025. And despite the heavy rain that we've had on occasions, they haven't been completely battered downwards, but they look wonderful. It's a fabulous plant to have in your garden, but it takes up a lot of room, and as soon as these flowers have started to die off and have completely flowered, then I will cut those flower spikes off down to the side shoots where a lot more flowers are waiting to develop. But it looks brilliant, and we've just had a visitor, third one of the year, in the form of a Hummingbird Hawk-moth, which, as I came out of the back door, it met me on the yard. It was looking at the flowers on there to nectar, particularly the verbena, and this one was quite unusual. It was very almost excited and flighty, couldn't decide on which particular type of flower to nectar at, and it visited pretty much everything. And in the end, it settled on a verbena, one of two that I have right in the very right hand corner of this shot. But it also visited the valerian that you can see up against the fence. It may well be back. They tend to feed if they're hanging around and holding territory. They tend to feed every couple of hours or so. And the next likely visit will be around 8 o'clock this evening. I will be on watch, because no matter how many times I've seen Hummingbird Hawk-moth, every time seems the same, and I've seen heading towards 200 in Nottinghamshire, most of them from this garden. But the garden is looking super. I'm very pleased with it. But it's the Viper's bugloss which is being visited by the bees now. The bee tree seems to have done its magic, but this seems to be even more of an attractant for bumblebees. They love it. But say it is a big, rather boisterous plant. It's biennial, so these will set seed, and by next year they should be ready to go again. And it does set seed prolifically, and what I do, I tend to weed out the plants that I don't want. For a Saturday evening, it's surprisingly quiet here in Market Warsaw, which I'm not complaining about while I sip my tea. I like to sit on those steps rather than the bench, which is right at the bottom of the garden, That's great for when it becomes really hot, in those rare events we occasionally get. But I like to steadily go through the viper's bugloss and minding the bumblebees as I go, and like to have a wander and just a casual check to see how things are going, what's in the garden. Yes, it really is tea in my mug. Nice place to sit this. I'm very pleased with the ox-eye daisies, dog daisies we used to call them years ago. They're all off one little tiny plant which came from Warsop Main Pit Top a number of years ago. Another plant that self-sets, but I don't mind that. When you look through the dog daisies and then the blue of the viper's bugloss, and you see the bumblebees and the occasional honeybees, they flock to this garden. And that's purely because not too many people do garden, certainly not in these houses. So it's a real magnet and an opportunity for bees to come and nectar. But the bees come and other things come too, like the Hummingbird Hawk-moth. There's been a painted lady present in the garden over a number of days. There's one male occupying territory, and a red admiral too the other day. And I almost forgot, a small tortoiseshell yesterday, which I'm very surprised at, but nonetheless very pleased. And of course, as you've seen before, this garden is not all contained in the area that you can see. Because as you can see, the garden goes all the way down to the back door. I can sit at the end there and still admire my handiwork, my choice of plants. And it brings the insects right to the back door. Probably nothing that gives me greater pleasure than to sit in one of those seats at the end there with a cup of tea in the morning and enjoy both flowers and the insects that come to nectar at those flowers. Just checking. I've got a couple of hours to kill before the hummer is likely to return, if indeed it does return. What am I going to do in the meantime? I've run out of tea.